The leader of one of the world's biggest drug cartels has been arrested in Texas.
At 4 a.m. this Tuesday, 200 ICE agents simultaneously hit 47 locations across Texas in the largest cartel takedown in state history. What they found will change everything you think you know about drug trafficking in America. This wasn't street-level dealing. This was a $50 million empire with 500 members operating like a corporation, complete with HR departments, logistics coordinators, and suburban distribution centers. The Sinaloa cartel had built a shadow economy right under our noses, and ICE just brought it crashing down. Stay with me to see the explosive raid footage and learn how this massive operation stayed hidden for so long. The scope of this operation is unlike anything we've seen before. In a coordinated strike, federal agents arrested 15 cartel members posing as police officers across 4 states: Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California. These weren't amateurs with toy badges. These were highly trained criminals equipped with professional-grade counterfeits. During the raids, agents seized 12 vehicles modified to look exactly like police patrol cars, complete with light bars, sirens, and official-looking decals. Over 50 counterfeit badges were recovered, along with complete police uniforms that could fool even trained law enforcement officers. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Using this elaborate police impersonation scheme, the cartel had transported over 200 pounds of fentanyl and 150 pounds of cocaine across state lines. To put that in perspective, 200 pounds of fentanyl is enough to kill every single person in America several times over. This wasn't the work of a single cartel cell. It required collaboration between multiple criminal organizations and the corruption of legitimate supply chains. ICE worked closely with the FBI, DEA, and dozens of local police departments to bring down this network. The operation spanned a major trafficking corridor stretching from the southern border of Texas all the way to California. What makes this case particularly disturbing is the level of sophistication. These weren't just costumes, they were perfect replicas. The cartels had infiltrated police supply chains to obtain authentic-looking equipment that could pass inspection from just feet away. Every detail was meticulously replicated. The badges had correct serial numbers. The uniforms used the exact same materials as genuine police gear. The vehicles were modified by professionals who knew exactly how to install emergency equipment. But it goes deeper. The cartel members weren't just dressed as police, they were trained to act like them. They studied police procedures, learned proper radio codes, and even practiced traffic stop protocols. They carried forged documentation that could temporarily fool other officers during chance encounters. Perhaps most alarming was their technological sophistication. The fake officers used modified radio scanners to monitor real police frequencies, allowing them to avoid genuine law enforcement and respond to real police movements. They knew when actual officers were changing shifts or focused on other areas, creating windows of opportunity for their drug shipments. This operation created 2 severe dangers. First, civilians had no way to distinguish between real and fake officers, putting innocent people at risk during traffic stops or home visits. Second, real police officers were in constant danger, never knowing if the officer they encountered was actually a heavily armed cartel member. The evidence recovered paints a picture of meticulous planning and execution. Each counterfeit badge was custom-made with unique serial numbers that corresponded to real officers in various departments. The uniforms weren't off-the-rack costumes, but professional-grade tactical gear made from the same materials as authentic police uniforms. The vehicles represent perhaps the most significant investment. Civilian SUVs and sedans were professionally modified with emergency lighting systems, push bumpers, spotlights, and authentic-looking department decals. From the outside, they were indistinguishable from actual patrol vehicles. The radio equipment seized was equally sophisticated. Modified police scanners allowed the fake officers to monitor real police communications while using encrypted channels for their own operations. They had access to emergency frequencies and could even mimic dispatcher communications if needed. In a press conference this morning, the ICE director called this the most dangerous case of police impersonation in United States history. adding that when criminals can pose as those sworn to protect us, the very foundation of public safety is threatened. The suspects now face multiple federal charges, including impersonating federal officers, drug trafficking across state lines, possession of counterfeit government identification, and organized crime. If convicted on all counts, they face life sentences without possibility of parole. The implications of this operation extend far beyond the immediate arrests. This case represents a critical breach in public trust. When anyone can credibly pose as law enforcement, every police interaction becomes suspect. Community members may now hesitate to comply with legitimate police officers out of fear they might be imposters. One police chief from Arizona described the danger. "My officers now face additional risks during every shift, not only from criminals they encounter, but from other officers who might suspect them of being imposters. This creates a dangerous hesitation that could cost lives." Law enforcement agencies across the country are now implementing new verification protocols. Many departments are adding digital verification systems that allow officers to confirm each other's identities through secure channels. Others are introducing physical security features on badges and identification that are difficult to counterfeit. For the public, authorities recommend asking for digital verification when stopped by unmarked vehicles. Legitimate officers can request dispatch to send a marked unit as backup, and citizens should feel empowered to call 911 to verify that they're being stopped by actual law enforcement. Legal experts are already calling for enhanced penalties for police impersonation, especially when connected to drug trafficking or violent crime. Currently, penalties vary by state, but this case may prompt federal legislation to standardize punishments nationwide. This operation exposes a new level of cartel sophistication that threatens the very foundation of law enforcement credibility. When criminals can convincingly impersonate police, every traffic stop becomes dangerous, every uniform becomes suspect, and every community interaction is compromised. ICE's swift action dismantled this network before it could spread further, but the threat remains real. Cartels are constantly evolving, finding new ways to exploit our trust in law enforcement. As one agent involved in the raid put it, "This isn't just about drugs anymore. This is about criminals stealing the identity of justice itself, wearing our badge, our uniform, and perverting everything we stand for." The 15 arrests made this week represent only the operational arm of this scheme. Investigations continue into the supply chain that provided the counterfeit equipment and the higher-level cartel members who orchestrated the operation. Sources close to the investigation suggest this may be just the beginning of a much larger crackdown. Do you support ICE's crackdown on fake police operations? Should penalties for impersonating law enforcement be increased? How can communities better